In this video, I want to show you how to sharpen a chainsaw blade. In this video, I am using two files. One will need to fit the size of chain that you have. This should be listed on the chain specs. It'll basically be the diameter of the file that goes through here, as well as a template gauge. This comes in handy to get the right angle, and a flat file, as well as a depth gauge. This controls the depth to 0.025 right here for this specific one for filing down the depth, as well as a vise comes in handy, but it's not essential. And also I'm using some sort of marking tool, and this is just a normal dry erase marker. For the first step, I'm going to mark one of these blades so I know where I've started and stopped. So I'm going to clean all the oil off of this and then just color this black so I could see it easier, like that. After marking one of the blades, it's time to start filing. So I put the file into the template here so you can see there are angles marked 25 degrees, 30 degrees, or 35 degrees. This will vary depending on your chain or possibly preference. I think this Greenworks chain, they suggest 30 or 35 degrees. I use 30 degrees. So to start off with, I'm going to start with the tooth I marked. So on all of these teeth, I'm going to alternate as I sharpen them going this way. So with this 30-degree line right here, so you can see that that's 30 degrees, and you see this line right here. This line needs to stay parallel with the bar like this. And I'm going to put the file up against the tooth like this, and then I'm going to drag it this way to file, and also make sure that your file is correctly positioned in here. The teeth face this way so that when you push, it sharpens. So I'm going to start with the file right here at the start, line it up so that the 30-degree line is parallel with the bar, and then I'm going to pull it through like this, firmly pressing up against the tooth right here. And I'm only going to do about 3 passes per tooth. So I'm going to start right here, making sure that this line is still parallel with the bar and keeping this as flat as possible. I'm just going to pull it through like this. 1, 2, and 3. And that's all I need to do for that tooth. And you can feel it that it's sharpened now. And you should see little metal bits right here. And I'm going to skip this one since this is facing the other way. I'm going to go to this next tooth. Slide this forward. Again, I'm going to start right here, making sure this line is parallel with the bar. And this is in the gullet of the tooth, I think it's called, the area. And make sure this is flat, firmly pressing up against the tooth, and just pull it across like this. 1, 2, and 3. And I'm going to continue doing that to all of the teeth that face this way, where the cutting edge is on this side of the bar. So I now reached the starting tooth. It's colored black, so it's obvious. So now I'm going to go past it, and I'm going to go to the teeth that now face this side of the bar. And I'm also going to rotate the file. So since I've been filing on the same exact part, I'm going to rotate it a slight bit to get a fresh cutting edge right there. Doesn't take much, and just rotate it a little bit. Make sure it's seated, and then I'm going to move this like this and do the exact same thing as I did on the other side, making sure I'm looking at the correct line right here. In this case, I'm looking at 30 degrees, and same thing. You also want to do the exact same number of passes as you did on the other side. If you don't, then you will over sharpen this side, file too much off, and then it'll cause the blade to curve when you're cutting. If you try to cut in, it might go like this at an angle, and it won't cut good. It'll start smoking probably. So I'm just going to show this again. And now I'm just going to do this for the rest of the teeth. And now I've reached the tooth that I colored black, so I know I've gone all the way around. So So now that all the teeth are sharpened, because you have reduced basically the height of the cutting surface, this little thing is a depth gauge, but it controls the depth of cut basically. So to keep this standard, the standard is like 0.025 right here, you know, like on this gauge. So to file that down now, I'm going to sit this so that, and all of these will be slightly different, but I'm going to sit, make sure one tooth is on this side and another tooth is on this side so that it just spans it. And now the gauge is set so that if I file right here on this little bit of surface that's sticking up, it'll be 0.025 inches beneath the tooth, so it'll control how much wood is cut off with each cut. So I'm going to hold this flat, get my file here, make sure this stays completely perpendicular and horizontal, and I'm just going to file like this. 1, 2, 3, and that should be a good enough. You should barely see some new shiny metal right here because you've only just filed a tiny bit off the blades. This is supposed to take a lot of filing before it's completely gone, so you probably can't even file it anymore because you've reached the top of here. So I'm going to do the same thing on each one. Just span the teeth like this so that this is sticking up, and just a couple passes. Some of these you might not even take any metal off. I'm seeing a little bit of shiny metal, but not much. And I've made it all the way around to my black mark again. So now everything is sharpened and the depth is correct now. So it's taken off the correct amount for each pass of the blade. So since you won't always be able to have a vise out in the field, obviously, the next best way to sharpen it if you're in the field is to just hold this between your legs like this and manually sharpen it like this. So you do the exact same thing. You would mark where the starting point is and then just do it. Obviously you're on the other side of it now, but the same principle applies. So if this tooth, the cutting edge, is on this side, then you could just look down, find your mark, line this up, and drag it forward a set number of times. I'm not going to do this because I already sharpened this, but the same principle applies. So just hold this between your legs, and obviously knee pads really help with this if you could do it, and just continue to sharpen it and move it as if it wasn't a vise. And that is how to sharpen a chainsaw blade. Thanks for watching.